In our modern society, security cameras have pretty much become a must-have. From their use in shopping malls and other public places to even our homes, there's no overstating the importance of these cameras to our safety and protection. That said, there have also been moments when people captured truly disturbing footage from these cameras. In this video, we'll be looking at a few of these massively terrifying moments, as well as the situations surrounding them. Mysterious doll movement. One of the major reasons why people have surveillance cameras in their homes is to protect their children. I mean, I know a lot of kids have autonomy and independence these days, but the parental instinct will always be there to keep them safe. Now, while some people don't think parents should be overprotective of their kids when they're at home, I actually beg to differ. And when you see our first clip, you'll see why. Taken a few years back, this clip shows the moment when a doll belonging to a little Mexican girl began to seemingly move on its own. It might have seemed like a subtle movement, but we all saw it, right? The scary part was that the little girl didn't even know what was going on. She was just enjoying some fun time with her toys, oblivious to the fact that there was something spooky going on with the doll. So, what could it be? Possession? Did the doll suddenly have a mind of its own? Who knows? Ghost on the porch. When you think about it, the entire point of having a security camera is to have an extra set of eyes when you're not around. However, while you might expect to catch things like people walking across your house, there are times when these cameras could capture something out of the ordinary. Take this next footage, for instance. It was captured back in September 2021, and according to the person who published it, it showed what appeared to have been a ghostly apparition moving across their front porch. It might have been faint, but I think we could all see that white-ish figure moving from one side to the other. Now, if that doesn't give the homeowner the creeps, I have no idea what will. Some people actually claimed that it was most likely just a light manipulation caught at the wrong time, but I don't know. What do you think? Shopping mall possession. You know that feeling when you have your entire day planned and something just comes out of the blue and throws a wrench in your plans? Well, you can kind of imagine how these people must have felt when they came across this situation. Back in 2016, footage from a local shopping mall in China made the rounds on the internet after it captured what appeared to be a woman battling a severe case of demonic possession. And boy, it is as creepy as it is terrifying. The clip started out normally. The woman was moving calmly along the shopping aisle just like everyone else, picking items from their stalls and examining them. All of a sudden, this happened. The moment the gesticulation began, people close to the woman immediately rushed to her side to check out what in the world was going on. In fact, things got so bad that the lady literally began shrieking, "Okay, honestly, I have to give these guys a lot of respect. If I was in a store and anyone started to behave this way, best believe I'd be out of there in a heartbeat." Still, these guys were determined to get her under control, although it seemed she was just as determined not to be tamed. At this point, you would think that she had finally chilled out and was off whatever funk she was in. But, as it turned out, she still had a little more in the tank. Fortunately for everyone involved, the people around were able to stabilize the lady's condition and get her out of there. Still, I don't think I'd ever want to keep shopping here if I saw that happen in real life. Weird baby possession. Still on the subject of what appears to be a case of demonic possession, check out this next scenario, which appears to validate the fact that even babies aren't immune to these attacks. Also, out of 2016, our next video takes place in the home of Chuck and Kate Booth in the United States. Chuck and Kate had just welcomed their little bundle of joy, Connor, and just like every other parent in the country, they doted after the little boy day and night. As you would expect, Chuck and Kate had installed nanny cams in Connor's room so they could watch him remotely. But one night, they got an absolute scare when they heard noises from his room. The next day, Chuck and Kate checked the nanny cam, only to find little Connor doing some not-so-baby-like things. Now, the whole thing kind of seemed like Connor was just being a restless little kid. But things took a turn for the darker when he literally climbed on the edge of his crib. It was just for a moment, but I think you can agree with me that for those few seconds, this baby boy wasn't normal. What was with that weird shriek that he gave? And the color of his eyes? What's the deal with that? Oh, and we've not even gotten to the weirdest part of it all. The fact that Connor, a child who was probably just a few months old, literally balanced on the edge of his crib without holding anything, and maintained his position for well over half a minute. Surely, that couldn't have been just because the boy had perfect balance from the womb, could it? Thankfully, baby Connor wasn't harmed. When this clip came out, it immediately caused a firestorm online. Many people claimed it was fake, but Chuck and Kate were adamant that there was no doctoring here. I'm no expert at parenting, but if this clip really is true, these guys might want to take little Connor to a priest or something. The Pale Man. You know, one of the benefits of having security cameras installed in your home is that you can easily keep tabs on your environment and protect yourself from would-be intruders. But while it's easy to call an intruder out and prevent them from getting in, how do you protect yourself from something like this?
You see his face clearly, right there.
This clip was taken from a doorbell camera in Kentucky back in July 2022. The figure here appeared pretty pale and unable to even stand straight. To be honest, I don't even know what this is. Is it a ghost? Is it an alien? Who knows? What I can tell you for sure, though, is that this stuff is weird. Now, the moment the clip hit the internet, many immediately began calling it the Pale Man. For those who don't know, the Pale Man is the secondary antagonist in the 2006 Spanish dark fantasy drama Pan's Labyrinth. He's described as a pale-skinned humanoid figure with his eyeballs located in the palms of his hands. I'm not overly sure if this dude fits that billing to a T, but he sure looks terrifying nonetheless. That is not something I'd want to see on my camera footage. Crazy Gator. Personally, I'm never overly enthusiastic about visiting wildlife resorts. Don't get me wrong, I love the opportunity to be out in nature and enjoy the sights and sounds of the natural world. But even at that, there's a general lingering sense of vulnerability and fear that tends to creep on you. And the moment you start to feel that way, it's usually a bad omen. For our next clip, we'll be looking at a situation where a couple was hit by an attack from an alligator while they were at a wildlife resort in Zimbabwe. The lovebirds were apparently enjoying themselves, lounging in a pool. Then, all of a sudden, the gator came out of nowhere and jumped into the pool. Honestly, this just makes me laugh. The husband apparently bolted and left his wife only to come back later. Fortunately, however, the wife only suffered a few minor bite marks and was good as new after she was taken to the hospital and stitched up. Scary clown sighting. Generally, clowns give me the creeps. And I know I'm not the only one. I mean, they were cool when we were kids and all, but it's almost like the moment you grow up, there's a switch that flips in you that makes you feel a type of way about clowns. Interestingly, several movies have even fed into this general dislike. From The Joker to Pennywise from IT, the stereotype that clowns are creepy just keeps going strong. Now, it appears that even real-life people are also feeding into this narrative. Check out this clip, which was taken by a doorbell camera back in 2018. I honestly don't get it. Is it that people just kept walking around in clown costumes, hoping to scare people? Was there like a ritual going on? What the heck is this? Head-on collision. Sometimes, all you want is to be able to go get a coffee from your local store, sit down, and enjoy your cup of Joe in peace. Then all of a sudden, reality smacks you with a curveball so random that your head will spin. That's exactly what happened to the guys at this particular coffee shop back in 2013. Everyone around was going about minding their business, and all of a sudden this happened. Apparently, the vehicle that crashed into the wall was being driven by someone who had lost control for some reason. Fortunately, the driver was safe because the vehicle's airbags deployed at the right time. Still, I can imagine how scared everyone else must have felt at that point. Unwanted guest. Whenever you think about a break-in happening in your home, you probably picture someone with a mask trying to get in to take some of your valuables. But what if I told you that humans aren't the only species prone to being a bit mischievous? Don't believe me? Well, check out this next clip for a reference. Taken in the city of Pu'er, China, back in 2020, it shows the moment a local home was visited by a rather unconventional guest. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Nope, it's a huge elephant. After breaking through the door with its head, the elephant, for some reason, decided to hold off on entering and instead looked around to survey the area. Maybe it was just boredom, or maybe the elephant didn't see something it liked. Whatever the reason, it decided to wander off without even entering. Boy, imagine the look on the homeowner's face when they checked their cameras the next day. Nature's rage. When it comes to natural disasters, I actually don't think that there's any option as scary as a tornado. These gusts of wind destroy just about everything in their path, and they leave literally no crumbs for anything else. If you're lucky to never have seen a tornado in real life, then trust me, I really hope you never witness one. That being said, seeing one through the lens of a security camera really does help put things in perspective. I mean, just take a look at this. This tornado was captured in the city of Carbondale, Illinois. And to hear the citizens themselves tell the story, it was a truly terrifying sight to behold. The crazy thing is that this tornado was actually a pretty small one. And even at that, it managed to tear off a section of the roof of that house. So you can just imagine how destructive the larger, more violent tornadoes would be. Welcome to the underworld. You know that thing where people say they're so embarrassed they feel like the entire ground could open up and swallow them? Well, what if I told you that this stuff could actually happen for real? Back in 2017, this footage caused a huge firestorm on social media, showing the moment when a large sinkhole suddenly ripped open. The footage, which was captured by surveillance cameras, caused massive panic amongst many locals in the area. Now you might be thinking, it's just a sinkhole, there's nothing wrong. Well, that's because you haven't seen the rest of the clip. Apparently, a man on a scooter was riding toward the sinkhole and was so engrossed in the contents of his phone that he didn't see what was in front of him. The result? Well, this. The good news is that the man didn't get any major injuries. Because the sinkhole wasn't so deep, he was even able to get up on his own and climb out, where paramedics were waiting to administer the necessary treatment. Still, you can imagine how embarrassed and scared he must have felt in that moment. So, here's some simple advice for everyone. If you're operating any vehicle, no matter how many wheels it has, please don't text and drive. Trust me, it's totally not worth it. Birthday sparks. Elderly people are arguably the most vulnerable people among us. These men and women have lived full lives, and now, as they get ever closer to the end, it's important that we take proper care of them and at least make their final years as comfortable as possible. Back in September 2020, we saw the exact reason why it's critical to protect the elderly among us after this clip circulated all over the internet. It showed the moment when a man in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, came very close to being harmed after a curtain in his living room caught fire. According to reports, the man in the clip had actually been celebrating his 88th birthday with his family. However, someone had put a candle a bit too close to the curtains, and they caught fire. To make things worse, the man in the clip was confirmed to have had dementia, so he didn't even know he was in danger. Luckily, one of his children left her purse in the room. The moment she came back for it, she saw the fire and immediately sprung into action.
Fire! 911! Fire! Come on, Lori! Oh my God!
No, well,
It's the camera. It's the camera. Come on. Come on, Lori.
let me have this.
No, no, no. No, no. No. No, no. Here, get him out. Here, with the walker. Walker. The candle on the...
What the hell happened?
The candle. You have him. Get in there. Let me have it. Go. Why is it coming? Get the pen out.
Bucket of water. Here, give me that.
Doesn't work. The pen is not coming out.
Reports further confirmed that there were still about 10 people at the party. Many of them were getting ready to leave, but as soon as they saw the fire, they stuck around and made sure to put it out. Besides some expected damage to the building, no one was hurt in this scenario. Thank goodness, am I right? Tire fury. A modern-day vehicle is a marvel of engineering. You have different components working together to ensure that you can move safely from one point to the other. Of these components, only a few are as important as your tires. Still, if there's one thing we know about these guys, it's that they sometimes have a knack for coming off at the weirdest points. Just take this next scenario, for instance. Recorded back in February 2016, it showed the moment when a man in China got himself in the wrong place at the wrong time after the tire of a truck accidentally came off while it was in motion. If you thought the footage of the guy getting hit was terrifying enough, then you should see the footage of the tire coming off the truck itself. That rascal apparently rolled perfectly from the truck's body, moving to the next street and hitting the poor man's car. It was almost as if the tire was on a mission or something. Thankfully, no one was sitting in the back seat of the man's car, so besides the damage to the vehicle itself, no injuries were sustained. Battery fire. Even though they've been eclipsed by other energy sources, batteries remain one of the most popular ways people get power. However, despite the many years of manufacturing development we've seen in battery technology, there's a general sense that these tools still have a long way to go when it comes to stability. A few years ago, a lady working as a janitor at an office space in Shanghai, China, came very close to danger after an encounter with an open battery case that spontaneously combusted. While trying to determine whether or not to throw the case away, it suddenly caught fire, causing quite the scare. Scared to death for her life, the lady tried opening the fire extinguisher box. But she soon found out that it had been stuck, and to make things worse, the fire kept rising spontaneously. With no clue what to do, the lady left all of her work tools, grabbed her purse, and got the heck out of there immediately for her own safety. Thank goodness she actually left when she did, because the fire only got more violent afterward. By the time the fire department got on the scene, the office sprinklers had already kicked in, so the fire thankfully didn't extend to any other areas of the office building. Boy, imagine how hard she'd be trying to convince her bosses about what happened if there was no video evidence. I mean, where would she even begin her explanation? Doggy rescue. They say that dogs are man's best friend, but touching as this sentiment is, I don't think it captures the true essence of the relationship that exists between certain dogs and their owners. For Joel Nitchman, a patrol officer with the Deer Park Police Department, his canine partner Ronnie is much more than just a friend. Both have formed a crime-fighting duo in the city of Deer Park for several years, and to hear Joel put it, Ronnie has put its life in danger to save him on the job several times. Well, early in 2023, Joel had the opportunity to return the favor, and he grabbed that chance with pleasure. You see, the city of Deer Park isn't necessarily used to wild storms. However, on this fateful day, a massive tornado hit the suburban area, triggering the first tornado warning ever issued for the area. At the police department, Joel had left his vehicle and ran into the building for cover. However, this was when he discovered that Ronnie was still locked in his car. Without giving it a second thought, Joel ran straight into the tornado, ignoring the heavy winds and flashing lightning to get his best bud. Things got even worse for the duo as Joel was unable to get Ronnie out quickly enough. Apparently, the dog, being the smart canine it was, saw what was going on and figured it'd be safer in the car. This meant that both of them were now basically stuck there, bracing the rain and the winds as this situation became much more frantic. Fortunately, Joel was able to coax the dog into coming out. And seconds later, they both rushed out of the car and into the building. Despite the difficulty of the situation, Joel didn't give up on his furry best friend. Now, that's how you get things done. The Blount Island Crane Catastrophe. If you work in logistics in the United States, there's almost no way you wouldn't be familiar with the Blount Island Marine Terminal. Located in the state of Texas, it is one of the largest import-export terminals in the United States, holding and handling a massive amount of cargo daily. However, considering its size, you can imagine that a simple mishap could be catastrophic for everyone. On August 13, 2008, the Blount Island terminal fell victim to strong winds, which operators had apparently been ill-prepared for. The winds, which blew all across the city of Jacksonville, were so strong that they ended up pushing a 950-ton container crane along its rail. This caused the crane to crash directly into one of its neighboring cranes, essentially causing a standstill all across the terminal. Footage of the accident was a bit shaky, but it was still clear enough to capture the extent of the damage done here. In just a few seconds, the two cranes collided, causing them to break down entirely. It goes without saying that the incident, which came to be known as the Blount Island crane catastrophe, was quite terrible. According to reports, each crane that got damaged in the footage cost about $6 million at the time. So, port authorities were already on the hook for $12 million as the two cranes were damaged beyond repair. To make things worse, the port authorities also had to pay an additional $1 million to clean up the mess and make the necessary repairs for the port to get back to full operating capacity. Fortunately, the cranes weren't in use, so no one was hurt during the incident. Still, I can imagine just how much this damage would have stung the port authorities. Once again, this is a perfect reason why public spaces like these need to have adequate preparations for extreme weather conditions. No matter how you slice it, I think it's safe to say that we live in a world that can indeed be terrifying. At this point, we really just have to be very careful in our daily lives. What do you think, though? Have you been in any similar situations before? Let us know in the comments.